Hey there, my name is Gillian Perkins and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, you are going to learn how to find and hire a video editor, how much it costs to hire an editor, and how to decide whether or not you are actually ready to start working with an editor right now. Later on in this video, I'm also going to be introducing you to a couple of my editors so that you can get some of their advice on how to get the best results from working with an editor. Before we get into any of that, let's take just a moment to talk about why you might want to hire an editor. There are two main reasons. First of all, hiring a video editor can save you time. If you've made videos in the past, then you know that editing your videos can take a lot of time. And if you are a busy creator with other things on your plate, then you might not have the hours and hours that it takes to edit each of your videos. So you can hire a video editor to shave that time off of your work. Of course, there's all sorts of things you could do with that time, but two things you might do with it are, one, make more videos. If you aren't having to spend as much time on every video, you'll be able to make more videos, which could grow your channel faster. Or if you run a business and you use videos in your business, then outsourcing your editing, hiring an editor can save you time on creating the videos so you have more time to spend on other aspects of your business that are things that only you can do. Because the truth is that there are lots of people out there who can do a great job editing your videos, but there are some aspects of running your business that only you can do. The other main reason why you might want to hire an editor is to enable you to make better videos. Unless you are a talented video editor yourself, most likely there are people out there in the world who can edit videos better than you can. So by hiring a professional video editor, you can make even better videos, which can help to grow your channel faster and get you more views here on YouTube. There are lots of good reasons why you might want to hire an editor, but hiring an editor can be expensive and it can actually hold you back from growing your YouTube channel if you aren't ready to hire an editor yet or you go about it the wrong way. It definitely isn't the right move for every creator. So keep on watching to find out how you can figure out whether or not it is the right fit for you, and also to get a step-by-step plan for hiring and working with a video editor. So first off, you need to figure out whether hiring a video editor would actually be a good decision for you and your channel, and if you're running a business, for your business. Now, I think that there are two different situations in which hiring a video editor is a good idea. The first situation is if you want to make just simple videos, you don't know how to edit right now, and you have no interest in learning how to edit. In that case, hiring a video editor to help you create these simple videos could be a really smart thing to do. It could save you a ton of time that you would otherwise spend doing this thing that you don't want to do, that you don't know how to do. It could just really be a shortcut to getting this simple result that you want. The other time when it could be a good move to hire a video editor is if you have made videos for a while, you understand what you want your videos to be like, you have your style down, you know how videos are edited, and you really can do it yourself, but you needed to save the time. So you realize it's taking you hours to edit every single video, and they still aren't being as good as you want them to, and you know what you want to be different, but you don't really have the skill to do it yourself. In that case, hiring a skilled video editor could be a really good option because it could save you those hours of editing every week, and that professional editor could do things that you might not be able to do yourself. However, on the other hand, there is one situation in which I would not recommend that you hire an editor. If you want to make videos that aren't very simple, they're more complex, more involved, they're more produced, there's more going on, and you haven't edited videos yourself in the past, you don't already know how to put together a video like that, I wouldn't recommend hiring an editor, because in order to mastermind the production of that, in order to understand how to communicate what you want to the editor, you really need to do it yourself first so that you know how to describe that to the editor, so that you can tell the editor actually what you want. So I know that this might be like bad news because maybe you want to make awesome videos, you have no idea how to edit, and you think that hiring an editor could be such a good shortcut, but I really think that you will wind up spending a lot of time, spending a lot of money working with an editor, and your videos won't be the quality that you want if you have no experience doing it yourself. Now, as I just said, that doesn't mean you have to learn how to edit yourself. You can make simple videos that just have an intro and an outro and a little bit of music and some cuts in them, and you can hire an editor to help you with that even if you have no experience editing. There's no problem with that at all, and that could save you a lot of time. Another thing you might consider if you are interested in creating content but you're not interested in the editing and production side of things, you might try creating a podcast instead. A podcast is just audio without the visual component of a video. It's a lot more simple and straightforward, and you could still have a big impact on the world. You can still share your ideas with the world. You could use it to market your business. A lot of the same benefits you could get from video, you could get from doing a podcast. Just something to consider. Okay, so if you've determined at this point that hiring a video editor would be a smart decision for you, the next thing you'll need to think about is whether or not you can afford to hire an editor. There are a wide range of prices that editors charge. I've seen editors charge anywhere between about $5 per hour all the way up to $500 per hour, and it really mostly depends on two things. First of all, the skill of the editor as far as specifically what types of things they're able to do. Can they just do simple edits, or can they do graphics? Can they cut your video to the music in a really artistic way? Can they do creative editing, or can they simply follow instructions? So on the one hand, you have what they can do, and on the other hand, you have the quality of their work. And both of those things influence the price that they charge. So a video editor that just does really simple edits and doesn't do a very good job, I mean, you could find an editor like that for $5. An editor with highly advanced technical skills and who is amazing at what they do, you might pay $500 an hour for this person. Now, in my experience working with editors, I've been able to consistently find editors who can do moderately complex projects, okay, nothing crazy complex or fancy, but all the basics I need, plus a little bit more, and do a consistently good quality job for about $25 to $35 per hour. Now, if you are paying your editor per hour, you might also wonder how long it will take them to edit a video. Of course, this depends on how long the video is and how complex it is, but for a video like I make here on YouTube, it typically will take an editor somewhere between 1 and 3 hours. And so what that means is that the total cost I would pay to have someone edit a video like this is between $25 and $100. Now, quite honestly, it's normally on the higher end of that. I've generally paid at least $50 to have a video edited, and often closer to $100, and that's because if the editor charges less, oftentimes they are slower. So that $25 an hour editor might take 2 or 3 hours, whereas the $35 an hour editor might be able to get it done in 1 or 2 hours. Just something to keep in mind. So you can either pay them for every hour they spend editing, or you can pay them for each project. Now, when I started hiring editors, I just paid them per hour because that's the easiest, the most straightforward. But what I found was that there would be a lot of mistakes. We had to go back for a lot of revisions because, they were just plugging away, doing the work, and my bill ended up being really high because they would do the initial edits, I would look at it, I would ask for revisions, then they would charge me for those revisions, and that might happen several times. So what I ended up doing was I switched to charging per video, which really cut down on the number of revisions because they wanted to get it right the first time, so we didn't have to do all that back and forth. So it was good for both of us because now they're working a little bit harder, making a better product, it saves them time, and it ends up saving me time and money. Now, the final way that you could pay a video editor, and a way that I've done it in the past, is to pay them per minute of footage that you hand them. So if, for example, you're filming a YouTube video and you sit down and talk to the camera for 20 minutes, and then maybe you decide to add in a few more shots that end up being a total of 10 minutes of footage, you can decide on a fixed rate that you pay the editor per minute that you hand them. So maybe $1 per minute, so you'd be paying them $30, or $2 per minute, you'd be paying them $60 for that video. Now the end video might end up being 5 minutes long, it might end up being 10, it might end up being 15, but the reason why this method of payment works really well is because most of the time, the more footage there is, the longer it takes the editor to actually process all of the footage and turn it into the finished video, regardless of how long that finished video ends up. So if you're looking for a middle middle ground. You don't want to pay per hour and have to do all those revisions and have your bill rack up, but you also don't want to pay per video, maybe because your videos dramatically vary in length. So you make some videos that are really short and other videos that are really long, some videos that are really simple, other videos that are really complex. Then this can be a good way to still be paying based on the amount of effort the editor has to put into each project, but at the same time, it is a fixed cost for you, and so even if there's more revisions, you don't end up paying more. So with these general costs in mind, maybe paying $50 to $100 per video, you need to ask yourself if this would be a smart money move for your YouTube channel, or if your YouTube channel is part of your business, for your business. A couple things that you might consider here include, are your videos currently making you money? Are your videos directly making you money on YouTube? Like, are you making ad money? Do you have sponsorships? Are your videos funneling customers into your business? If your videos are attracting customers for your business, then hiring an editor could be a really smart money move, even if you aren't monetized on YouTube yet, because if you hire an editor, you could make better videos, you could make more videos, and that could get you more better customers, which could make you more money. So that's something to keep in mind. You also need to think about what else you could be doing with your time. What is the opportunity cost of the time that you're spending editing your own videos? If you spend 4 hours a week editing your own videos, you could pay someone maybe about $200 to do that for you. What else could you do with that time? Would the other thing you could do with that time earn you more than $200? If so, then hiring an editor would be a smart money move. On the other hand, if you're just gonna watch Netflix, then you might as well just edit them yourself, right? And save the $200. If you've decided that you're going to move forward and hire an editor, then the next thing you'll need to do is find an editor to hire. There are two main places you could find an editor. You could find one locally, or you could find an editor online who will work remotely. Now, both of these have their merit. It's not just about which one is easier to find, it's really about which type of editor you want to work with. If you work with a local editor, then you're going to be able to communicate with them more easily. You'll be able to meet with them in person and really develop rapport with them. And they might even be able to show up when you're filming your videos or even help you film your videos and really be a more integrated part of the production process. On the other hand, if you work with a remote editor, your communication will probably primarily be by sending emails back and forth or some other written form of communication, although you can do video conferencing with them. And so you'll probably be communicating with them in a more sterile way. You won't get to know them as well, and they definitely won't be able to help you actually make your videos. These are my editors, Nick and Shayla. You're right. Okay. So I think one of the first things a lot of people wonder is like how to find a video editor. So what are some of the different ways that some of your clients have found you guys?
I'll answer.
Yeah, Shayla, can you take this one?
Some of our clients are word of mouth. Others are will find our website online or through social media.
Well, even the way I found you guys wasn't actually through an editing site. I found you guys in a kind of strange way. First, I found an editor on Upwork, and then that editor ended up referring me to you guys when he wasn't able to keep editing for me. So I think that it's just important to like look around and like use different options, you know, look on sites like Upwork, but also ask photographers in your area and ask for referrals, and maybe some of the people who do photography might be able to help you out with video and editing. So first of all, you just really need to think about what you really need. Do you just need an editor, or do you need more of a producer? Do you need someone who could help you film your videos? The other thing you'll want to consider is the cost. Local editor versus remote editor. Now, I would say that you can hire people in any price range, locally or remotely. However, generally when you look locally, you're going to have a smaller pool of people who you're looking at. And so you'll mostly find people who kind of charge a mid-range and often a mid to high range for their editing work. Whereas online, you're going to see the full spectrum of costs that you could spend on editing. So if you go online, you can find editors you could hire for as little as $5 or $10 an hour, all the way up to spending $500 an hour. Now, of course, there still are those people who will charge you that mid-range, but there will be a bigger variety to pick from. But this is also a great time to talk about the fact that you can pay editors in a few different ways. You can pay them per hour, but you could also pay them per video. And then there's one more way that I'll talk about in a minute that's a little different. My last tip when you are finding an editor is find several editors. Don't just hire the first person you find. Find a bunch and then narrow it down. Maybe you start with 10 different editors you consider hiring, then you interview each of them, and that weeds out half of them, and then you can do test projects with the 5 that are left over and find the one that's really the best fit for you. Okay, so at this point, I know that we have covered a whole lot already and we are only halfway through the process of hiring and working with an editor. So what I did was I ended up putting together a checklist of everything that I talk about in this video so that you can make sure you don't miss any part of the process of hiring an editor. If you want a free copy of that checklist, there's a link down below that you can click to download it. And also, if you want the contact information for a few editors that I've worked with and would recommend, then I can email that to you along with the checklist. Okay, so you've found some editors that you think might be a good fit for your videos, and now comes perhaps the most important part of this entire process. You need to do some test projects with these editors. You need to trial working with them. If you don't do this and you just jump into hiring someone, then you could likely waste a bunch of money and a bunch of time if that editor turns out to not do as good of quality of work as you thought they would do, or they can't make videos in the style you want them to make, or they aren't a good communicator. There's all sorts of things that could go wrong. So I would highly recommend that you do a test project with each of the editors that you are considering working with. When you do this test project, you can either have all of the editors work on exactly the same project. So say you're doing 3 test projects, every single one makes the same video, then you can really compare apples to apples really well. You can see differences in the quality and you can really judge the differences very easily. On the other hand, you could hand each of them a different project. So editor number 1 is doing project A, editor 2 is doing project B, etc. Now, if you have the funds to invest, it's best to hand them all the same project because, like I said, that'll make it the easiest to judge the results and to really figure out who is the best editor, who did the project the fastest. You'll be comparing apples to apples. But if you are on a tighter budget, then that second option, giving each of them a different project, will definitely save you money because you'll get 3 different videos edited and you won't be wasting any money in the process. Okay, so now that you have found and hired your editor, let's talk about a few different tips that I have for how to get the most out of working with your editor. Because if you go about this the wrong way, working with an editor can just wind up being expensive and taking a lot of your time, and your videos might not even end up any better than if you had just edited them yourself. So here are a few tips for how to actually get the most out of this. First, set clear expectations. There are a bunch of different ways you can do this, but the basic idea here is just that you need to tell your video editor as much as you possibly can about what you want the end result to actually look like. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to tell them everything that they need to do. It's good to give them creative freedom for sure, because you really want them to utilize their creative genius and their talent. And if you're gonna tell them everything to do, then you might as well just do it yourself, because doing it yourself would take less time and you're gonna get the same results anyway, right? So you don't need to tell them everything they need to do, but you do need to tell them everything that is important to you. So you need to talk to them about the outcome that you want.
Sometimes people will just bring a collection of footage and be like, can you please edit this? Maybe put it to some music, I don't know. But if we know the end vision, we know how to actually get there. And the other thing that helps is actually creating a relationship with the person, so you can go back and forth and ask questions and get to know what it is that they want versus just editing it how they feel like it should be done.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so it's probably harder the first time you're working with a client when you don't have that relationship at all.
Yep.
So you can't go into it with that finite mindset. You really have to go into it with the expectation, the more long-term mindset, where you're having the expectation you're going to keep working with someone. Mm-hmm. And that, would you say that helps you get clients better results when you work with them multiple times like that?
Absolutely, yeah. Because sometimes you have 2 different kinds of clients. You have the client that just thinks, do your magic, and then the other type of client is hovering over you and we'll send you 10 revisions.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a lot of editors have kind of you get 2 revisions, no more, you know?
Yes.
And so communicating a lot up front, even if you have to send them links to other videos, like I like the style of this one, or I like the graphics of this one, it all helps, and more communication is better than less, but more revisions can damage that relationship, I think.
Mm-hmm. In these video editing guidelines, you can also include details on the graphics. Are there certain fonts you want them to use? Do you want them to incorporate a lot of text-based graphics? Do you want motion graphics? Which motion graphics should they use? Anything that will apply to all or almost all of your videos will go in this video editing guidelines document, and being able to hand this to your video editor at the very beginning will save you a lot of communication and back and forth down the road. Now, beyond that document, for every video project that you do together, you will want to give them some specific notes. You might want to give them an outline of what you're saying, and also anything that you want for the editing of the video that's maybe a little out of the ordinary. So if you want to change something about your normal guidelines for editing the video, maybe you want to use different music, maybe you want to use graphics of a different color, or maybe normally you have text-based graphics, but in this video you don't want any of those. Maybe you've filmed some extra B-roll and you can tell them where to add it into the video. So let me right now actually just show you how I do this with my editor. So right here I've got my laptop, and this is what I'm looking at while I'm filming this video, and basically I have this document divided up into these 3 columns. So there you go. And so in the first column here over on the left, I have basically my script, my outline for the video. And being able to share this with the editor really just helps them to know what the video is about and to know how the video is supposed to be structured. Then in this second column here in the middle, I have a description of the visuals. So do I want them to be adding in any B-roll or anything like that? And just so that they know how I'm going to be breaking the video up visually. And then in the third column, I share with them the graphics I want in the video. So this is actually the text that I want in the actual graphics, because something that I've found in working with editors is that they don't always know what I was thinking that I wanted to communicate in the video. And so if I just tell them add graphics to emphasize points, some editors can do that fine, but a lot of editors, because they don't know what I'm trying to communicate, they don't know what those points should be, and so explicitly writing out what I want the wording of the graphics should be, really goes a long way to getting the result that I want. And then at the very, very top of this production plan, I just have some notes on the general production idea. So if I'm going to use a lot of B-roll, I might make a note of that, or if I don't have any B-roll, or if I want graphics or I don't want graphics, or if there's different music, that's where I put those specifications for each video. I hope that today's video helped you figure out whether or not hiring a video editor would be a good fit for you and help you make better videos, help you save time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. And if you want to join me next week for a video on how to set goals and create action plans to achieve them, then make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that. You'll also want to ring the notification bell so that you get a notification on your phone when that video comes out. As I mentioned earlier on in this video, I put together a checklist of all of the steps that you need to make sure you do in order to hire a video editor and have the best experience and get the most out of it. If you want to download that checklist, there is a link down below you can click to do so. And when I send you the checklist, I can also send you the contact information for a few video editors that I've worked with and would recommend. So if you find that helpful, then make sure you check out that link down below. Okay, well that is all for today's video. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you next week.